Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone supporting supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
New Balance recently announced the addition of All-American Cooper Flag to the NB family, joining Cameron Brink and an elite player roster in the brand's mission of growing the game with the next generation of athletes. In part of New Balance's ongoing commitment to supporting athletes off the court, the Boston-based brand plans to work with Cooper on community initiatives in his home state of Maine. To shop the two-way V5, Hesi-Lo V2, and all New Balance basketball products, visit newbalance.com today.
In Louisiana, the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office announces a new unit targeting gangs in the city. In Florida, a woman is found dead after calling her husband to say she was being followed in a car. And in Texas, a mother of two is arrested after leaving her kids at home while taking a cruise. These stories and more are coming at you today, Thursday, April 18th, on Real Life Real Crime Daily, and I'm Jim Chapman.
I'm Woody Everton.
And I'm Mike Agavino. Thursday.
Yep.
Starting to get into the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
Lots of action.
Missed that.
Lots of action.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look it up.
Get out there. My Knicks are hot, baby.
Are they?
Yeah.
Really?
We finished second in the East. Come on.
Cool.
Patrick Ewing.
Yeah. Jim's, once again, very current on his sports references.
He's more current than me.
It's about the last time I watched basketball in the professional basketball when it was real basketball.
Michael Jordan.
Patrick's a good
Larry Bird,
man.
Larry Bird.
Dominique.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Dominique. So Dominique was playing for Georgia, and I roomed with a guy by the name of Kevin Linder, who was 6'9", guy from Denver. And Linder, as a freshman, would only get playing time if the game was a blowout. You know, he'd come in for like the last 3 minutes. So he finally comes into a game against Georgia, and the very first thing that happens is Dominique Wilkins leaves from the free throw line and basically flies completely over Kevin Linder,
Jordan.
like he wasn't even there, and dunks the ball right over his head. And I'll never forget that. Linder never lived that down. That guy, Dominique, he was a highlight reel.
Yeah, he was. A lot of them back then.
Shame he got stuck playing on shitty teams his whole career. I mean, he never really got to win.
The Hawks.
When have the Hawks done anything?
Never. And I don't even know that much about basketball. But I know about crime. So let's get
You
on to
definitely
true
know about
crime time for Thursday.
All right. We're going to start off in the East Baton Rouge area, and the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office has announced a new unit during a press conference that was on last Thursday, April 11th. The new unit is the Gang Intelligence and Enforcement Unit, which is GIE. GIE will be a multi-division full-time unit and will assist with all other East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office units. This comes after a rash of violence throughout the Baton Rouge area. And look, it has absolutely gotten crazy in Baton Rouge. There's almost not a day where there's not a shooting. A small percentage of these groups are committing most of the crimes. That from Sheriff Sid Gautreaux. Sheriff Gautreaux says by utilizing this unit, they intend to have real results to show the community in the upcoming weeks. 90,000 doses of fentanyl, 300 illegal firearms, and more than $1 million in 137 felony arrests, all seized over the last year by the Narcotics Division inside the EBR Sheriff's Office. Because of that success, Sheriff Gautreaux announced a new gang unit. He said drugs and gangs often go hand in hand, and many gangs use profits from drug sales to further their illegal activities. He says he estimates that gang and drug dealers are responsible for 80% of the violent crime in EBR, but he says a crackdown on gang activity could make the whole area safer. People are scared, but it's not just them. It's all over the parish. People living in more affluent areas are even scared. The new unit will act as an extension of the Sheriff's Narcotics Division and work with BRPD and the School Drug Task Force. It will also share information related to Homeland Security with Special Operations Intelligence Division, work with the DA's office in prosecuting gang members. Many have criticized the BRPD for the use of the term group instead of gang. District Attorney Hiller Moore explained the difference between the two. People criticize and say, well, you're just afraid of saying we have gangs. There is a difference. A gang is highly structured and organized. They're in business and they do not want to get caught. Groups, on the other hand, do bad things and want to make money off of it, but have no hierarchy, no structure, which makes it even more difficult for these men and women to police and for us to investigate. So, new unit in Baton Rouge. We'll see if it makes a huge difference. But
and I love Sid Gautreaux and I love Hiller, right? I don't really want to say this, but they already had a specialized unit, and I think it's called SCAT or something like that, and have had it for years and years and years.
Was that for the sheriff's office or for BRPD?
It was for the sheriff's office, and like out on Gardier and all that stuff. So it comes up from time to time where they try these different things. Maybe they're doing a more cohesive unit, sharing information and working closer with the DA so these same assholes don't get out again and again. But I totally agree. 80% of it at least is tied to the gangs. But our murder rate's at an all-time high, and I get that. But something's got to be done, I guess, if you ride the gangs out. But one of the problems is when you take out one of them, the major leaders, it feels there's a void, just like in Mexico.
Yeah.
Other people are going to step up. You can't ever stop the law of supply and demand on dope and all that going on. But hopefully they'll get something done.
Yeah, I mean, it's just out of control, man.
Yeah.
Baton Rouge is out of control.
90,000 doses of fentanyl. And that 80% number, is that a normal number for a big city?
I think so. I mean, you got, your cards, everything. Even the petty crimes fall back to dope users trying to supply their habits, and it all trickles down from the people who control the dope, and that's mostly the gangs. Yeah, unfortunately, like on the last show, we talked about whatever those assholes call themselves in the small town of New Roads in Point Coupee Parish. 5 of them got life sentences. Gang members shot that dude 21 times.
Yeah, Rico.
Yeah,
use Rico.
But good luck to you guys and stay safe.
Well, I got a story about a gang of one, a Texas doctor who was dubbed a, quote, medical terrorist. Oh, Lord. This guy was found guilty of injecting heart-stopping poison into IVs at his former medical clinic in North Dallas. A 12-person jury found Dr. Reynaldo Ortiz guilty on all 10 counts after nearly 7 hours of deliberation. As a result of Ortiz's actions, several patients suffered cardiac emergencies, and Dr. Melanie Casper died after using one of the IV bags that he had provided. Federal prosecutors said the anesthesiologist committed the shocking crimes at Baylor, Scott, and White Surgical in North Dallas. This was all in retaliation to a medical misconduct probe. The criminal complaint accused Ortiz of injecting nerve-blocking and bronchodilation drugs into patient IV bags. Really, bronchodilation bags, drugs into patient IV bags. Surveillance video showed the doctor placing an IV bag in a stainless steel warmer outside an operating room back on August 19th of 2022. Minutes later, another staffer took the bag, administered the contents to a patient, and that patient immediately suffered a heart attack. Ortiz's colleague, beloved anesthesiologist Melanie Casper, took a contaminated IV bag home on June 21st to rehydrate due to an illness, and almost immediately after inserting the IV into her vein, she suffered a serious cardiac event and died. An autopsy showed she was fatally poisoned by bupivacaine. An autopsy showed she was fatally poisoned by a numbing agent that the DOJ said is rarely abused but used to alleviate pain during surgery. These incidents first began 2 days after Ortiz was notified of a disciplinary inquiry against him over his handling of a medical emergency. Other doctors noted he complained the center was trying to, quote, crucify him. Fox 4 Dallas reported that there were 13 patients between May and August of 22 who experienced similar cardiac emergencies, though prosecutors only charged the doctor with causing bodily harm to 4 of the patients. A judge had ordered Ortiz be held before trial after prosecutors argued that he was a danger to the community by citing in part a 2015 incident in which he shot his neighbor's dog in retaliation for the woman helping his then-girlfriend obtain a restraining order against him after a domestic violence incident. Ortiz was convicted of 4 counts of tampering with consumer products resulting in serious bodily injury, 1 count of tampering with consumer product, and 5 counts of intentional adulteration of a drug. Ortiz is facing possible life in prison and will be formally sentenced in June. Folks, if you want an IV bag full of the good stuff, not this stuff, go see our pal Tracy Lofton, TLM Lofton, Lofton, at yahoo.com, or the Lanyap Infusions Facebook page.
Yeah.
This doctor was bad news.
Now they got to go back and look at his entire career because he didn't just start doing that.
Right.
He's probably doing other things and improving on. I mean, he's going to be the one calling the death time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you put a lot of trust in these, doctors, and
good and bad and everything.
Be real easy for him to.
Well, you would think, being a doctor
like
and all, he'd be a smart guy, but to retaliate that way seems pretty obvious to me. They were going to catch the dude, so.
It's crazy.
Life in prison. He deserves it.
All right, well, we're going to go to Florida, and authorities believe they have found the body of a woman whose carjacking at gunpoint in Central Florida was caught on camera moments after she called her husband to tell him she was being followed. Catherine Guerrero, who was 31, was stopped at a red light in Seminole County on Thursday when a gunman forced his way into her white Dodge Durango. Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima said the gunman had on a black hoodie and a ski-type mask and was carrying what appeared to be an automatic handgun. Authorities believe the gunman had exited a green Acura that was directly behind her vehicle. Cell phone footage captured by another witness in another vehicle showed the gunman pointing the weapon at the driver's side of her car and then getting into the back seat. When the light turned green, she made a U-turn and the Acura followed. She made a U-turn at the intersection, probably heading, speculation here, but probably heading in the direction where the suspect did not want to go. And we suspect that he orders her to turn around again and reapproach the intersection, that from the sheriff. She then started driving toward a new construction area authorities believe the suspect was familiar with. After about an hour and 45 minutes of the incident in the video, deputies were called to the area for a report of a vehicle on fire. Lima said there was so much damage to the car that you could not positively identify the vehicle. A body was located inside that authorities believe to be Guerrero's, noting that DNA and dental records are needed to confirm the identity. 12 shell casings from a gun were also found on that scene. It's not clear when the Acura started following her, but Lima reports that it was not a random incident and the suspects knew exactly who they were following. We are again still putting together the story, trying to explain the motive. Before the carjacking, Guerrero had called her husband and tell him that someone had rammed the back of her vehicle and was following her. The sheriff said the husband told her to not stop anywhere, but neither of them called 911. There are lots of unknowns and a lot of things that will leave people scratching their head. Why did she and her husband not call 911? I don't know. Why did she stop at the red light? There's a lot of things we'll absolutely never know, but this is a tragic incident nonetheless. Investigators believe Guerrero left South Florida shortly after noon on Thursday and arrived in Seminole County around 3:30 p.m., briefly stopping at a Shell gas station before continuing her drive when all of this took place.
Unreal. I've seen dead bodies burn up in the cars like that, and I get it on the identification part and all that, but, just a horrible, tragic way.
That's a targeted murder, though.
Well, yeah, being bumped from behind is a common ruse to get people to pull over, and they'll kidnap them or rob them or whatever. But he killed her.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was she wouldn't comply. She was going the wrong direction. They're speculating she was going the wrong direction, and he got pissed and made her turn around and go the other direction. But so it could have been that, or it could have been intentional. They were going to kill her the whole time. Maybe initially they were just going to carjack her.
I think they were going to kill her. Nobody carjacks a Dodge Durango. I mean, come on.
Well, maybe they were going to rape her. Yeah.
Apologize to you Dodge Durango drivers, but I don't think that was the.
Maybe they're going to rape her, but you know what? Florida will execute a mofo.
Yeah. I bet they were up to something. If they weren't calling 911, why was she so far away from home? What was she doing? I don't know. There's a lot more to that story, I'm guessing.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Okay, let's go to Texas, where a Texas mother of 2 is behind bars after she allegedly left her young children home alone for nearly a week because she needed to go on a cruise.
Nice.
Lakeisha Woods Williams, age 29, was arrested on 2 charges of child endangerment on Thursday after leaving her 6 and 8-year-old children alone in her high-rise apartment in Houston for 6 days. This is according to Harris County constables. Williams allegedly left for the cruise on April 4th and returned home during the evening of April 10th. Deputies from Precinct 5 responded to Williams' apartment in the 9700 block of Katy Freeway on April 9th after receiving a call from someone who was concerned about the 2 children. When deputies entered the apartment, the children, who were alone, said their mother was, quote, on a cruise.
There you go.
So mommy didn't lie to the kids about where she was going. Paramedics and Child Protective Services were then called to the home to check on the kids' health and safety. Quote, we are still putting together the facts and circumstances of how these children were left alone for several days, Constable Ted Heap said in a Facebook post. But the important thing is they are safe now, and those responsible should be held accountable for leaving these kids in an unsafe situation. Heap added that both children are now in the care of a relative. Williams was arrested and booked into the Harris County Detention Facility the day after she returned. Her bond is set at $25,000. What are these people thinking?
I want to know what kind of menu she left them.
What's that?
I want to know what kind of menu she left them. 6 and 4, right? I mean,
Meal prep.
Mommy went on a
boxes
cruise.
of cereal and here's you some
peanut butter sandwich.
Well, what is amazing is it doesn't
V8.
sound like I guess it was an infant. The other story we had where somebody left for vacation.
Yeah, that was an infant.
And that infant died, didn't it?
Yes.
But
that's what I'm saying. She must have told him, "Look, here you some granola bars or something. I mean, 6 days.
And a gallon of
That's
water.
just, what are you thinking? You know,
And it lives in a high rise, which you know is not cheap.
It's a beautiful girl too.
I wouldn't leave my 6 and 4-year-old at home for 20 minutes, much less, a cruise.
Yep.
Crazy.
Can't figure it out. She won't be parenting anymore.
No, she's not going to be.
Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, and all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
Or cruising.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Look, we like to tell you about how genealogy has kind of changed the game when it comes to identifying former homicide, previous homicide victims, things like that. And we brought you several stories, and this one actually came out just this morning. But a homicide victim in California from 37 years ago has been identified. and investigators released the identity of that victim. This was a 1986 cold case whose body was found on the side of the road in an embankment. On Sunday, August 3rd of 1986, officials discovered the remains of a deceased woman on that embankment in California. Investigators said the female suffered traumatic injuries, and that obviously suggested foul play. The death was ruled a homicide, and investigators developed very few leads. They just simply could not identify the victim, and the case went cold. Cold case detectives reviewed that case throughout the years, but they never developed any further leads. In February of 2022, Sheriff's Department detectives and analysts started getting involved with genetic genealogy with the victim's DNA profile to help identify her. As a result, they have now positively named the woman as Maria Carrillo. She was reportedly 43 years old when she died. According to the Sheriff's Department, Carrillo came to the U.S. from Mexico the same year she died. And officials have notified the victim's family. Obviously, they're trying, the case is ongoing, and they're trying to get now movements before her slaying to see if they can come up with who murdered this person. But I would imagine it went that long without even an identity because she was from Mexico.
And so many of them. And last week I did Sam Little, first of at least a 2-part series, probably 3. And he traveled the country during that time and killed from the 60s all the way up until he got convicted for the first time. Well, he had been arrested like 120 times, had several murder trials, beat a couple of them, whatever, went down for a couple of them and got out. But he killed from Florida all the way to California, and including in Louisiana, South Louisiana and North Louisiana, all the way through the Midwest. I mean, he would get his high-risk victims, and then in the end of his career, he was taking them and dumping across state lines on the side of highways and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And they think, but he is confessed to over 90 and drone maps to them, whatever. I think they've got DNA on, which didn't come out too many years later, on 36 of the victims.
Yeah, this DNA in particular, but especially genealogy DNA has really changed the game when it comes to
identifying the victims. Yeah.
Identifying these victims.
Yeah. What's that guy? Sam Little?
Sam Little.
90 murders.
90 at least.
God.
Yeah.
Episode 1 up now.
Episode 1. Next
Real
one's
Life
coming
Crime.
out the day after tomorrow.
That's right. That's right.
Crazy. I'm glad they've found her.
Yeah.
And again, her coming into the country like that, she wouldn't have had a well-established base. And
that's
and everything else.
Obviously why they couldn't put this together even way back then. At least, nobody reported her missing.
Right.
Let's go to upstate New York.
All right.
We rarely go to upstate New York and to Syracuse, New York, for a sad story. Syracuse cop and a sheriff's deputy were shot and killed in an upstate New York community Sunday night in an exchange of gunfire in which the suspect was also killed. The deadly scene played out in front of a house in the Syracuse suburb of Salina before 9 p.m. as officers were investigating a suspicious car thought to have been stolen. It all started when a Syracuse cop and his partner initially attempted a traffic stop of a suspicious car in the city. They attempted to pull the car over, and it quickly fled. But the officers were able to get the plate number on the car, and they tracked that car to a home in the community of Liverpool, which is in Salina. The cops called in backup from the sheriff's office after learning that the driver of the vehicle might be armed. At the time, it was unclear how many suspects were involved. Law enforcement from the city and Onondaga County arrived and saw what looked to be guns inside the car, and then heard noises that sounded like a person manipulating a firearm inside the home. Moments later, there was an exchange of gunfire between at least one suspect and the officer and the deputy. The officer and the deputy who were shot were rushed to the hospital, where they were both pronounced dead. The suspect was also pronounced dead at the hospital. Onondaga County Sheriff Toby Shelley said it was, quote, a sad day for law enforcement, and Syracuse Mayor Ben Walsh called it a, quote, dark day for Syracuse during a press conference. This is our worst nightmare come true, Walsh said, and our thoughts right now are with the families of those two officers, those two heroes. The Syracuse police officer had about 3 years on the job and was very active, very proactive, while Shelley called the deputy a seasoned law enforcement officer who was very well known and very well liked in the community. We lost two heroes tonight, two men who answered the call to duty to put on the badge to protect the community, protect and serve. We lost two of them tonight. Law enforcement flooded the area following the shooting, and hundreds of officers lined the streets and watched and saluted as the bodies of the slain officers were driven away from the Upstate Medical University Hospital. This I could not believe. The last time a Syracuse cop was killed in action was 34 years ago in 1990, and the last time an Onondaga Sheriff's Office deputy was killed in the line of duty was in 2003, 21 years ago. So I guess there's nowhere safe these days, guys, but those are communities that certainly don't expect this kind of thing.
Prayers to everyone who knew and loved them, and truly heroes, and rest in peace, guys. But just doing what you do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Kinky for a Thursday.
Kinky crimes for Thursday. Yeah, this one's a little bit different. Remember, I was reading you the fetishes and different ones. Well, in North Carolina, a man was arrested after a months-long investigation into activity related to mechanophilia, which is a sexual attraction to vehicles or machines. Now, a months-long investigation.
I know a lot of guys that have that, I think.
Right? Well, Walter McCrae is 50 years old, was seen on video tampering with a victim's vehicle on April the 7th, 2024. He was arrested, obviously, and he's charged with 1 count of felony stalking, 5 counts of damage to property, 5 counts of injury or tampering with a vehicle. And there are not many more details on this arrest, but it makes you wonder, what was he doing with the victim's vehicle? Well, a quick Wikipedia search found the following facts. Mechanophilia is treated as a crime in some nations, with perpetrators being placed on the sex offender registry after prosecution. Motorcycles are often portrayed as sexualized fetish objects to those who desire them. And some instances on record include, in 2015, a man in Thailand was caught on CCTV masturbating himself on the front end of a Porsche. And in 2008, an American named Edward Smith admitted to having sex with 1,000 cars and the helicopter used in the television show Airwolf.
How about that?
I used to watch that every week.
Airwolf.
Airwolf. But we did another story on, I can't remember, it was recent, the last couple months, another guy was having sex with vehicles. Y'all remember that? That's bizarre, man. They make all types, weird.
huh?
Yeah, they do.
I heard some freaky stuff, but you masturbate on a
I'm thinking
Porsche?
about getting another Harley, but I'm not thinking about making love.
But here's the thing. I mean, who's the victim? I mean, the Porsche filed charges is the motorcycle, the Harley filed charges.
The owner of the vehicle,
the one who has to go out there and clean the jizz off the whatever, right?
I don't want nobody jacking off on my car.
Right. Or your motorcycle.
My Hummer.
You sit down and not even know it. It might look like bird poo, but it might be something else.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't want to see that.
When you pull that dipstick out slowly, it can be a little bit erotic. You never gotten that sensation while checking your oil.
I go to Jiffy Lube.
Yeah.
What a sick. Tailpipe. Is that the banana in the tailpipe?
I don't. Scary.
Maybe that's the origin of the banana in the tailpipe trick.
Probably so.
Possibly.
That's
kinky.
For sure. Jeez, they make all types. Mile High Crime time.
Mile High Crime.
And we're glad to see when these guys who commit these mile high crimes get caught. And a passenger who has repeatedly groped women seated beside him on a flight has been banned and faces prison time. Desmond Bostic, who is 25, pled guilty to assault with intent to commit a felony. He admitted to repeatedly touching a woman who was a stranger to arouse his sexual desires on a June 20th Alaska airline flight from San Diego to Seattle. During the flight, Bostic used a blanket to cover his hand while he caressed the woman's thigh throughout the over 3-hour flight, only stopping when other passengers passed to use the restroom. He also squeezed the woman's butt twice as she stood up to let another passenger exit into the aisle and return to their window seat. The woman was too scared to speak, but repeatedly and unsuccessfully attempted to shift her body away from Bostic. When the flight landed in Seattle, Bostic quickly left, and the woman immediately told Alaska Airlines flight attendants what transpired, prompting a police investigation. Airline personnel provided Bostic's identity to the Port of Seattle police. An officer found a photo of him on Facebook and showed it to the woman, who confirmed that was the man who groped her. Bostic was indicted for abusive sexual contact. This was back in September. The FBI stepped in when law enforcement was unable to locate him after he left the airport. They found and arrested him just last week. An Alaska Airlines spokesman told the Miami Herald that Bostic is no longer allowed to travel on Alaska or Horizon, which is another airline owned by the Alaska Air Group. Prosecutors are recommending a 9-month prison sentence, but U.S. District Judge Jamal Whitehead is not bound by this recommendation, and the maximum sentence, if you're curious, is 10 years behind bars.
Give him 10.
Give them all 10.
Give them all 10. Well, how the fuck you think you can get away with that? I mean, they have your
That's
identity.
ballsy as hell, man.
Yeah.
You could just make them fly Spirit for the next 20 years.
Yeah,
that would be
yeah,
a
that'd be bad
suitable
No.
punishment for him.
We don't want him groping anybody else.
No. That's your Mile High Crime.
Mile High Crime.
For today.
Banjos.
Banjo time.
Got a good dummy today. Direct Action Everywhere is an international grassroots network of animal rights activists. You guys know that?
No.
Direct Action Everywhere, they sure are. Founded in 2013 in the San Francisco Bay Area. Direct Action's first action occurred back in January of 2013 when 6 activists demonstrated in front of a meat counter at a Sprouts Farmers Market, contending that the items being sold behind the counter were not food, but, quote, the torment and suffering of billions of our friends in factory farms and slaughterhouses. Given that history, let me tell you about a more recent action from Direct Action. One of Direct Action's wackos decided it would be a good idea to run onto the field with a pink smoke bomb during a San Francisco's 49ers versus LA Rams game at Levi Stadium in San Francisco. The young activist may not have thought completely through the possible implications of this particular form of protest. So while the man enjoyed a few moments of fame, they were quickly replaced with the sustained feeling of pain. That's because the Rams' defensive back, Bobby Wagner, had his own version of Direct Action. Wagner, after seeing the man break free from security, ran from the sideline onto the field and laid the pink protester out with a shoulder to the chest body tackle. Although the protester was simply cited and released by security at the stadium, a spokesman for Direct Action Everywhere said he immediately went to the police to file a report. The spokesman described the incident as a blatant assault. Wagner stood by his actions in a press conference afterward. Quote, you just never know, he said. You never know, like people run on the field for no reason sometimes. And again, I'm pretty sure it's going to keep happening, but you never know what the person got in their pocket, in their hands, whatever. So, you know, there's consequences for your actions. Right you are, Mr. Wagner. The police agreed with Wagner's assessment, and instead of filing charges against the player, they asked the protester if he'd like to reconsider his position on the incident, Our unhappy protester with very sore ribs decided to call it a night and headed home. He's now playing his next big action while listening to banjo tunes.
I saw that. He smacked his ass.
Yep.
Laid him out. Don't be running on the field.
Right?
I don't care what you're protesting. You don't be running on an NFL field.
That's true. I often thought about it.
What was the name of the woman with the big
Yeah.
knockers that used to run in baseball games and kiss the pitchers?
I forget her name.
I remember her kissing Pete Rose.
Yeah. She would
Dolly Parton, I think was her. Was it Dolly Parton?
Close.
I can't remember. She had a funny. It was like a stick.
And that was before
her
social media.
Yeah, I think she ran out like 300
famous.
and something times or something like that over her
Yeah, well, they would
career.
always put her on. Then they learned to stop putting these people on camera, and it slowed down. Streakers stopped streaking.
I'm still dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you have it.
Look for Woody streaking at the first LSU game.
I have thought about it many times.
I don't know if you want to do that anymore.
I think Jaden Daniels might end up a New York Giant.
Yeah? You think?
Could be.
When is the draft? It'll be coming up.
It's like the 25th or something. Caitlin Clark got drafted last night.
Saw it. So did
Did you see her salary?
Reese.
That's so stupid. $338,000.
It's ridiculous. Well,
She was making more than that in NIL.
Well, she's making millions in NIL.
Yeah.
But she's going to keep those sponsorship deals, I'm sure.
Probably so.
And I
I
would,
saw her on a commercial.
They will definitely put her on the Olympic team. Putting her on the Olympic team
on
is
a commercial and something, and they were talking about whatever her name is, Caitlin Clark. It said, but not all Caitlin Clark's the same. And they had one girl that was named Caitlin Clark trying to shoot a ball or whatever. So she's already doing commercials.
Well, the internet went upside down when Angel Reese posted pictures of her in a bikini the other day.
I didn't see that.
You guys see those?
Nope.
She looks fabulous.
Well,
She looked fabulous at the draft.
She looked fabulous in the bikini.
Beautiful dress on.
Yep. I don't know. I didn't see that either, but
Okay, you go search that later. It's a Thirsty Thursday. You're going to be throwing back a couple, I think. I'm guessing.
maybe so. Possibly.
Well, I'll be cleansing.
Yes. Well, that's with refresh. Yeah. Anyway.
I will be cleansing later.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. Continue to like and share and all that good podcast shit.
There you go.
All the good podcaster shit. Absolutely.
All right. Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agavino.
For Real Life, Real Crime Daily. Peace.
And let's.
New Balance recently announced the addition of All-American Cooper Flag to the NB family, joining Cameron Brink and an elite player roster in the brand's mission of growing the game with the next generation of athletes. In part of New Balance's ongoing commitment to supporting athletes off the court, the Boston-based brand plans to work with Cooper on community initiatives in his home state of Maine. To shop the two-way V5, Hesi-Lo V2, and all New Balance basketball products, visit newbalance.com today.
Early holiday savings have arrived at Tanger Outlets. Discover the best gifts from your favorite brands, perfect for everyone on your list. And stack your savings with up to 70% off, plus an extra 15 to 25% off only during Tanger Style. Save at Polo Ralph Lauren, Old Navy Outlet, Under Armour, Skechers, J. Crew Factory, and more. Hurry in. These early holiday deals last through November 24th. Tanger Outlets. More savings, more cheer.